Welcome to Changing the Channel with Joe Garner, a show about shifting our individual and collective beliefs on what is possible for the future of humanity. As our understanding of how our reality continues to shift, we are at a point of reunification between science and spirituality. What does the world look like when we break free from the generational trauma that has kept most humans playing small for thousands of years and step into our full power as the co-creators of this reality? I always ask that you keep an open mind with this podcast. Ask yourself what resonates with my truth at this time and what does not. Respect your intuition, but see if you can get through the whole show because there might be that little nugget buried deep in the conversation that unlocks something for you. Welcome back to Changing the Channel. I have a beautiful human being here, Kari Taylor. She has her PhD in psychology. Specifically trained in somatic experiencing and numerous other evidence-based and holistic therapies. She is a thought leader, ceremonialist, and creator of new paradigms. She also channels light language, works with the elements, specifically water, and walks as a goddess of joy, play, and freedom. She also enjoys collaborating with other way-showers to create opportunities and to apply spiritual teachings to live heaven on earth in every day. So welcome to the show, Kari.
Aw, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just so excited to be
I
here.
am too. Yeah, I'm excited to get into this conversation. We
Yes.
talked about a month ago and had our initial conversation, and since then I've been really excited to get you back and
Yeah.
get you involved in a conversation. So give us a little background. You are quite the multifaceted being. What was that journey like? What was the evolution of Kari as she went from, grad school psychology, postdoctorate or doctorate into, now mystic, multifaceted being?
Aw, you know, it. I wasn't sure what was going to come out, but it starts that I was born and raised in Iowa on a dairy farm. So I was very country, and I was raised by my grandparents as my parents transitioned to the other side when I was 3 years old. So I really believe my journey started then in really understanding the power of death and working on the other side of the veil. Of course, I had no idea back then. And, as a little girl, I just always went to sleep every night thinking I was dying and waking up like, oh, I'm here another day. This is amazing. And I really feel like I was with my parents as I slept. So that's kind of like my childhood thing. And I'm saying this because I really believe in following the energy. So I didn't like plan out my life, but the next thing you know, I'm in graduate school to get my PhD. And I don't ever remembering being wanting to even be a psychologist or like mapping it out and taking all the steps. And so I just say that for people whose children want to kind of go down that profession or not planning ahead all this much, like it literally just showed up in my path. And what I found in graduate school was that I valued like being a good student and doing all the right things. And I really adopted the doctrine of science, of of doing like all the stuff, getting like the hours and following the guidelines and the rules and I remember when I was doing some of my internships, I was feeling like this isn't how healing works. And some of my supervisors are like, Kara, you're trained as a clinical psychologist, a counseling psychologist. We work with the mind. But I'm like, healing doesn't happen in the mind. Like, so there was this part of me that always knew this. And my clients also reflected that back to me. So then I found Peter Levine and somatic experiencing. And what that does is starts really understanding and it gave me language of the body and the body's organic intelligence. And one of the fundamental things is as I listen to my body, the truth and the healing just shows up. And now the healing isn't outside myself, but it's within the body. And as I did my own work on myself, because I had everything my clients have been through, I've also been through, as far as like what we would call traumas, or that was the lens I had at that time. I was healing and expanding by connecting to resources and support. And as I did that, I it opened me up to the divine, to the ultimate resource of connection and support and remembering, and brought me to Asheville, North Carolina, with where I'm around a lot of soul family people and being connected to mentors and support people, and my journey just keeps expanding.
Wow, that's a fun story. I love that you started all the way back at 3 years old, and again, I think it's kind of important to include that in your journey story to go all the way back to childhood, because that is where it started, and that's typically where you're the most connected to your journey. Like, you come into
Yeah.
this existence knowing where you need to be going at that very young age, and then you go through the conditioning process, coming into the societal norms and being
Yeah.
brought up in those societal norms, and then hopefully that journey back from the conditioning to that being that you were being when you were 2, 3, 4 years old, where each day was a blessing, was a joy. I mean, that to live life that way is such a antithesis of how a lot of people are living their lives right now. I want to take a minute from the show to share how you can support Changing the Channel. This show is my passion project, and if you feel called to support, the best place to start is by subscribing and sharing the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Next would be to check out my website in the show notes, where you can become a VIP of the show and get exclusive content not available anywhere else. Finally, you can engage with the Q&A and polls to have direct say in the direction of the show. I am forever thankful for your support. And now, back to the show.
Yeah, and then, I'm just reflecting. I've been talking to some friends on the soccer field. I have a 10-year-old son who plays soccer, and I worked at the VA for many years, and this role of being a healer. And I'm so grateful in some ways to work in the institutions and understand it. And as a healer, we're really trained to be of service, to give, to do more. And what I found in my own life, I was exhausted and burnt out and was giving everything I could to work and not feeling nourished and replenished to live my best life. So I think that also was a pivot for me to like how to actually leave these, like I call them the golden handcuff corporation worlds.
Interesting, yeah. And so at what point did you do that and step out into your own kind of modality?
You mean the year or?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, when did you kind of step away from that, and what was going on in your life?
Um, yeah, we just moved here, and I really knew I was meant for more, and not that there's anything wrong with being there, but I'm someone, as I talk about being the goddess of freedom and play. And it does not feel like freedom having to get up every morning at the exact same time and having people reporting in and telling me what I need to be doing every day. Did not feel like very freeing for me. And I think it's just was really challenging though, because I was the primary breadwinner for the family. And
Right.
so I started hiring coaches and, receiving support of other ways. And it's kind of funny though, I spent a lot of money and I didn't follow the programs.
Mhm.
Uh, and I used to be really mad about it, but now I realize those programs connected me with other people who were on the same path and journey as me. And that was like more of the primary purpose of it. And that, yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm realizing now as I step into this moment that it isn't, there's no prescription. So I feel like at that point I really wanted to still like somebody tell me what to do. What is the next step and I'll do it. I just want to do whatever it takes to be free. and to feel joy and to make a whole bunch of money. Just somebody tell me what to do. And I kept like looking outside myself. And it didn't work. It didn't work.
Right.
And so now I've been like just surrendering and letting it all go. Just letting it all go.
Yeah. Now you talk a lot about moving from the head to the heart. Let's kind of get into that. What does that mean to you? How can people take that and bring it into their daily life, into their daily practices?
Yeah, so like let's all think about when people are anxious or when we feel like we got to figure out our next steps. How does that make you feel? Like even you,
Yeah.
Joe.
Anxious, scary, frustrated.
I know, even preparing for this podcast, like there's this part of me that wants to have it all planned and get it just right to come across. And it's all from my head. And I just don't work very well from that place. So what I invite people to do, and if everyone even wants to do it with me right now for a moment, is just like breathing in and moving all the energy from the head and just moving it into the heart. And then from the heart place, we get to decide, how do I want to feel in this moment? So for me in this moment, I want to feel peaceful, and I really desire to also feel deeper connection with you, Joe, and your audience. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to breathe in again from my head. And as I exhale, I'm going to move all of that energy into my heart. And I'm going to feel the energy moving from my heart to every cell in my body. And I'm going to invite in the feeling of connection. And then from there, allowing that energy to be my guide of the next perfect step. And I just
Beautiful.
did meet with another mama yesterday on the hiking trail who's like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm anxious. Like a lot of our old stuff and patterns are bubbling up right now. And what I learned from one of my mentors is to put my hand on my heart, like, it's going to be okay. We got this. I love you. I love you. And allowing what is just to be present as we just really love whatever part is in that anxious mind.
Right. And just know that, you're always held by the universe. There's always
Yeah.
everything that is happening to you is happening for you, not to you, and getting out of that victimhood mentality, which comes from being in the mind. And
Yeah.
when you talk about emanating that energy from the heart into every cell in your body, it kind of reminds me of where, from a macro perspective, I think we are in society where whatever this thing is that is above us, again, like imagine you're a cell in a part of your body. You don't fully understand that you're a part of this gigantic being, this gigantic human being that is conscious, that is aware, that is creating its own reality. You're just that piece. You're just a piece in there, and you know your role. You understand what you're supposed to be doing, but to understand, the totality of what you're actually making up is hard to fathom at that level. And that is, we are the cells of this creature, this being, the universe, that we don't fully understand what it is, how big it is, what part we play in it. But it feels like at this point, the universe is breathing in this heart-centered energy into the planet. It's breathing that energy into us, and we're all experiencing that, and we're having our unique reaction, a unique response to it. Depending on where you are on your journey, you're gonna either invite it in with open arms or fight it with all your heart. And because, again, change is very difficult, it makes it very difficult. The egoic mind, when you're living in that mind, makes change very difficult. So that I just kind of got that image of this being, this greater being than we can even fathom, breathing this heart-centered energy into each one of its cells, into each one of us, And that feels like this is where we are in humanity. This rebirth of heart-centered energy that is coming through. And from my perspective, it's coming through from something outside of the physical reality, whatever that means to you.
I love that, Joe, because I think sometimes I get hooked on like, well, this is what my human's doing. And I think I know
Mm-hmm.
what my cell's purpose is, where I have to surrender. I have really been surrendering more and more because I think my cell's purpose is very different than what I thought it was.
Right.
And that's what I'm noticing is like where almost the anxiety or the fight happens. Like we hang on to our identity. Like I think I'm this psychologist or this healer because that's what I was. And I'm actually letting it all go because I really don't think that is my function in this greater version. I think that was part of my journey to get me to here, but I feel like it's really expanding beyond that. And I think when we really like shed the identities of our human, and we love our humans so much, but we just let go, let go, let go, so we can really connect to what is this cell? Like, what is being breathed through me? And can I allow that? And can I listen to that breath and let that be my guide in this here and now? And I love when Joe did a beautiful meditation with us so that we speak from the highest truth before we hopped on here. And it was so beautiful. And really just surrendering like that the highest guidance and the highest will be present and us operating from that intention.
Yeah. And meditation seems to be the way to tap into that. Like, cells are communicating on a constant basis through these electrical impulses that they're experiencing. They're communicating on. They're actually using light to communicate. They're using EMF frequencies. That's where quantum biology is basically moving towards this understanding that the cells, each one of your cells, is using the light from the sun to communicate with the different parts of the cells, and that seems like that's kind of where we're moving in humanity, where we're getting these communications from this aspect of ourself that we don't see, we don't feel, we don't, we can't go touch it or hear it or taste it. We're getting this communication from those beings, and the more that you open up to that communication, the more that you um, allow that communication to enter into your physical body. And again, I think the physical body is the way that you interpret these messages. You can also consciously connect and have a communication with that being, and that's called channeling. That's called channeling information in, getting downloads. That being is speaking to you. Here is your path. Here's where humanity is moving towards. Like, and then trusting those downloads, those ideas, those new perceptions that you're getting from this higher aspect of yourself, and allowing that to shape and guide and move you towards your higher purpose. And that seems to be where we are. And there's so many coaches that are helping people become comfortable with trusting that intuition, trusting that thing, that gut feeling that you're supposed to be doing, but the mind that's afraid of change is telling you, no, 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 don't do that. That's not the right way. And it's like, well, how do we get more people to trust that intuition, to trust that gut feeling, and then live life from that perspective? And again, not to throw everything away, and I think it's very important that we keep in mind we still live on this planet. We're still human beings. We still have to make a living. We still have to, eat and have a roof over our head in order for us to have this connection. But what if we started building a society that allowed us to follow our intuition to create enough abundance for us so that we could have all that stuff and be fully aligned with our purpose?
Yeah, I love that. Can I add one thing?
So, yeah, absolutely.
So when we're connecting in, I feel like meditation is the place to start to increase our awareness of what is, just because of all the human programming that we get and the conditioning that's kind of been our guide. So I feel like meditation is a way to kind of get in there to just pay attention and get our observer mind or that higher version of us connected. And the other way is also truly following joy. And what I like activities that just bring us joy in that moment. And really, to be honest with it, what it is. And what I have found has been the most challenging thing in doing that is, am I worthy? Am I worthy? Am I worthy to allow myself joy and activities and joy? Not self care, not numbing out, but where am I guided and can I give myself permission to play there?
Yeah, that is a very profound, I think, realization. A, following your joy, because that has been a big one for me. I mean, the I enjoy having conversations with people, and this is me following my joy. Changing the channel is me following my happiness, my joy, like doing what I actually love to do, and knowing that if I continue to follow that path, that I will be taken care of. It will open up a door that leads me to something that will provide for me. You know, it could be, maybe it is this podcast. Maybe it's just meeting with certain people and connecting with them and building my tribe up a little bit more. But I know that that connection is there, and that if I continue to follow that joy and keep looking, that I will be taken care of. And then the second one is, yeah, getting rid of the idea that life doesn't can't be joyful and you be successful in life. I think that's a paradigm that has been preached to a lot of people, that you have to put in the work, you got to do the hard things, you got to do all this stuff, and then at some point you can enjoy and find your happiness and find your peace in life. And at this point, so we are definitely moving towards a place where you can have both of those, joy and peace, and living your purpose and fulfilling, your humanly needs, the parts that you have to do as a human. And it's when you release that thought in your system that you have to do all the hard work, that you have to do all this extra stuff that doesn't add value to your life. It only adds material things to your life. Then you can really start following that happiness, that peace, that joy.
Oh, I celebrate you.
Thank
That
you.
takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of
It
courage.
does.
It takes so
It's
much courage. So I just like really want to celebrate you, Joe.
I appreciate that. So you've also kind of talked about moving towards heaven on earth. Let's get into that a little bit. What does that look like to you? What is
Yeah.
heaven on earth as we change society, and is that what we should be looking towards as we start to rebuild this, restructure society?
Yeah, like for me, it started like me living in beautiful places and gathering with my tribe there, and us like living more in harmony with each other, and everybody doing what they loved. And like I'm really holding that vision of my paradise. And I get now that heaven on earth is here for me in this exact moment. So, how I'm really playing with it now is in my kitchen. In my kitchen, in a regular home in North Carolina. Like, after I'm seeing clients through the day, I go pick up my son at Kid Quest, I drive him home, I'm working on dinner, my partner's coming in. And the old parts of me would get like stressed, or I'd like rush, or I don't know, things would just trigger me. Someone says something I don't like. And I'm really bringing in this vibration in the everyday. So for me in the house, every day is my heaven on earth is like, how do I be in appreciation for this moment? How do I make the food I'm create like a creation? How do I make it beautiful? Like, how do I stay in love with myself and my needs, taking care of my son, still being there, my partner, also dealing with messages that are coming in and registering for games and things like that. So for me now, heaven on earth is more about harmony at this exact moment. So really having this love and letting everyone be in their perfection without me needing to change them, and really being able to see them in their perfection. And even when I'm triggered, like allowing that to also be perfect, like allowing my human to be present in this experience too, and that she's a part of it, and I get to like love her through it.
So it sounds like the heaven on earth is a change in perspective. It's not necessarily a change in your everyday. It's not like you're changing everything, getting rid of everything, and then you experience heaven on earth. It's changing the perspective of what you're experiencing to allow it to be perfect, whatever that is.
Yes. Yes. Like
And
in this
and
moment,
any tips on how to kind of how you've been able to transition to that mentality, that mindset?
yeah. So I think the very, very first one is acceptance. And I noticed what causes my most suffering is when I'm like, I shouldn't have to deal with this. This should not be in my reality. I'm a goddess. I'm on this path. This should not be showing up for me. I shouldn't, get the hell out of my house or like whatever it is, right? Like this should not, this, me being stuck in traffic shouldn't be happening. This should, blah, blah, blah. Whenever I had this, like, this is not okay. This shouldn't be here. It was like my warning sign. And I just started like noticing when that showed up, like, just that's my time to take 3 deep breaths. I accept this moment. It's happening. And I trust it's happening for me. So I start breathing in, and usually I need to call in peace because I can be kind of reactive. And I start, breathing in peace, and I start like, what is this? And sometimes it's an old version of me that's wanting my attention. And there was some part that hasn't been able to speak her truth, and she's getting clarity. And so the moment is simply there for me to get clear what's really important to me and my own values and some of what I'm wanting to create. Sometimes it's I'm wanting to change another, and that's not my business. Like I can't know another's journey. I don't know what's highest and best for my son to be experiencing or for another person. That's not my business, and there's a part of me that's wanting to entangle. So I think the first steps for me in doing that is one, radical acceptance of what is, and then two, slowing it down, slowing me down, slow down, and allow, and then really coming in to appreciation. And you say this a lot, Joe, I've noticed, like, how is this moment happening for me? Like, what is it? Where
Yeah.
is the nugget? Where's the treasure in this here and now moment? And then
Yeah, that
the third part is accept, then allowing. So whatever, like once I can see it, maybe the heaven on earth is letting out a good cry. Maybe the heaven on earth is like celebrating. Maybe the heaven on earth is, expressing anger, but it's out of love. But it feels so good. And I'm just like speaking my truth, but in a very from the heart kind of place, without any judgment, but just knowing that's possible. Yeah. And as I'm living it, more and more miracles keep showing up. More and more magic keeps
right.
showing up.
Yeah, and that seems to be the byproduct of living from the heart, following your joy, finding your peace in every single moment. Is that again, if we talk about the quantum aspect of reality, the more that you're vibrating in that peaceful, joyful state, the more you're going to attract other situations, other people, other opportunities to you that are in alignment with who you are being. That's what the physical reality really is this gigantic algorithm that is basically taking your thoughts, your actions, and your beliefs at every single moment of your life. And it's bringing in experiences. It's showing you on the external world what you're experiencing on the internal world. And that is so kind of antithetical to what we've kind of been taught, which is, you do the things and then, eventually this thing comes to you. And it's actually the opposite. You change who you are being, you change your emotions, you change your thoughts, you change your patterns, you can even change your memories. That's what the healing work does, is you go back and you actually experience those memories that have always been a negative to you, and you go back and experience them in a positive light, so that you find the little nugget in those memories, in the negative experiences that you had. And as you continue to dig into those old memories, dig into those old beliefs, dig into those old patterns that you've been living, and find that heaven that exists, that little nugget of joy that was in that experience, what that lesson was teaching you about yourself, who you were being at that point. You know, now you start to raise that vibration that you're vibrating at, and in that vibrational, uplifting, the universe, the quantum reality is going to start reflecting these new experiences to you. It's going to start bringing you people into your life, your tribe, connecting you to your soul tribe, connecting you to the people that are at that same vibration as you. And that is, again, kind of all of the philosophical, ideas of what reality is, like trying to explain what reality is, hermeticism and the laws of the universe, and all of these different laws. That's kind of, in layman's terms, that's what they're saying, is that your external reality is just showing you what your internal reality is. And then we come to this place, we come to this world where there's such a duality between what everyone is experiencing, that now you have to, okay, how do I live in acceptance that there are people vibrating at all different frequencies all around me, all at the same time? And can I keep that high vibration? Can I keep that vibration that I know I need to be vibrating at intact, as all these different vibrations are bumping into us, and kind of having this effect on our who we are being at that very moment.
Yeah. I was playing with this with wealth and money. I don't know if people in the audience would be interested in this.
Yeah, let's get into it.
But like I decided, as I create my own reality, like, I mean, even going back to heaven on earth a little bit. So I'm like, I am going to be what I want for every single other person. So for me in my life, like, I want peace because I want peace in the world, but I don't go out changing people to be peaceful. I'm going to first focus all my energy on me being peaceful. I'm also really, I love the idea of us all being in love, right? So is it my job to be in love in every moment, and me focusing my attention on that, and I really love this idea of us all being wealthy, whoever chooses. Like, that feels really fun to me. And that I feel is linked to freedom. And so I decided I was going to create that I am the conduit of wealth.
Mm.
That money just flows through me. Now, my human hasn't really opened up a lot of channels for that to happen, but it's happening. I just talked to my financial advisor yesterday, and he is like, I don't know what you're doing, Kari. I just met with everyone for their annual review, and your percentage is the highest.
Wow.
And I was like, he's like, it's even higher than mine. And I watched the numbers. And
That's
it just
funny.
made me like so happy. And I've been celebrating, things like that, like all the ways that infinite abundance can flow through me. My son we bought some shoes. He comes home, plays soccer, and he goes, Mom, they're too small. I'm like, we just bought these soccer shoes. How can they be too small? I go, put them in the box. We're going to bring them back. And I didn't even look in the box to make sure they're clean or, I just assumed they were. It was like less than 5 minutes. We get to the store and they're filthy. And the people there are like, you cannot exchange these. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'll try to sell them to somebody else, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, this is unacceptable. And we're going to still honor the exchange.
Mm.
And so
That's
this is the part of receiving. So I'm like, thank you, universe. Thank you. Thank you. I receive in every moment. And I know then as it flows through me, now when I pay my bills or things come up, I send that prayer and intention. This money is meant to flow through me to this next bill, to the farmer's market person, to the next person along the path. I'm grateful to be the conduit of wealth and abundance.
right. And when you're present, when you're aware, you're sending that energy. Again, money is just energy, but you're conscious of where you're sending that money, right? So you're going to farmers markets, you're spending it on people that are, that you want to propagate that energy, that joy, that abundance to. And that is your choice on where you are sharing your abundance. And every one of us has that ability to make a choice on where we spend, who are we supporting, who are we giving abundance to. And in that awareness, where are we bringing abundance into ourselves, and really thinking about that on a, maybe more than just once a month or once a year. It's like, okay, like how am I bringing abundance into my life? And money is just one part of wealth, of abundance. I think happiness, I think joy, I think peace are also equal parts to that wealth as a heart-led soul in this world. And sometimes I think that gets kind of thrown away. It's like, well, I want wealth, and that means lots and lots of money. And it's like, no, it means enough money to pay the bills and support people and continue that abundance that they're trying to propagate. But it also means finding joy in what you're doing and finding peace in the every moment, and really putting those as part of your wealth building experiences.
Yeah, and that in heaven on earth, we can also really honor what are the experiences we want to have. Like, what are those experiences? And allow them to come to us. And when they do, receive them. Because I've seen things come to people and then reject it because now's not a good time. And I'm like, it's right there. It's coming from the universe. You didn't even look for it. You didn't even plan for it. It's here it is. Will you receive it? I know in my
Yeah.
community, like with healers, but I find that a lot of humans are very giving. They give. They're like here, 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 here. And the receiving, like, may I what is in it to receive in this moment? And knowing when we fully receive, it's like then we give through our vibration. We will be now we're giving from a full cup of overflowing, and there's like no strings of obligation attached.
Beautiful. Well, Kari, this has been a really fun conversation. I think whoever is listening to this, there's a bunch of different nuggets in there on how to find your heaven on earth, how to live peacefully within, what sometimes looks like a chaotic world. And in reality, it's as chaotic as you make it. It's as chaotic as you believe that it is. So if somebody's looking to work for you or work with you, again, you're helping people, find their business. Where can they get a hold of you? Where can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, probably the best place is my website. Is send me a message on there. It's drkaritayler.com. And I'm shifting like offers all the time based on the energy. And the recent one that's come in is like, it's here now, come. It's here. It's here now, come. And let's start connecting and let's start co-creating together. Like, what's alive for you? And now as I'm connecting with more people, like you're like the connector guy in this moment, Joe, right? And I get to share this, but we're starting to like all like love to do the different parts. And I really believe when we come together and co-create, there's enough for us all. We can all be having fun and to really be in that vibration. So in these groups that I'm doing, we're also holding a way of embodiment. So if any of the themes came up, like you're wanting more love in your own life and in the world, if you're wanting more joy, if you're wanting more freedom, if you're wanting more beauty, if you're wanting more creativity, creative inspiration, that like we hold that and it can be easily accessed when we come together is what I'm also finding in the creation process. Like me just sitting here thinking about things is less fun than doing it with you any day. Right. So I'm creating like a group and a context, and then also to like really have a safe space of when we're not there, how to like support us, like going through the steps or different ways of finding one's own way, finding one's own truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's definitely helpful to have somebody else, another set of eyes that are, as you're going down your path, as you're finding your joy and your happiness, like just to check in, just to see, okay, is this actually giving you happiness, and being a guide for other people as well as them guiding you on your path.
Yeah. I find when people are in those frequencies, things just open that we couldn't even see before. And maybe there's stuff and programs that are interfering that they just also flow through. I'm always amazed by how quickly that can happen and shift when we're in company of others.
Yeah.
Well,
Kari, I really appreciate you coming on today. This was a wonderful conversation. And I hope you have a great rest of your week and a good weekend.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you doing this. I have so much love for you in this mission. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you again for listening to Changing the Channel with Joe Garner. If you enjoyed the show, please follow the podcast, hit the bell to know when a new show comes out, share with a friend, and rate us on whatever platform you're tuning in from. It helps get these messages out to more people to create the collective shift in reality we are here to experience. Make sure you interact with the Q&A and poll sections of the show so I can continue to provide content you enjoy. Finally, check out my website in the show notes to become a VIP of Changing the Channel and join the shift that is happening.